The U.S. Department of the Interior, through the National Park Service, is charged with carrying out federal laws that allow for the return of certain objects taken from indigenous communities by archaeologists and museums. This week, we learned a few of those items could soon come back to Maine. Our Donovan Lynch explains.
Human remains, as well as 8 cultural objects connected to the Wabanaki Nations, have spent decades at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. Now they're set to return to Maine. According to 2 notices from the National Park Service this week, the Yale Peabody Museum found that those items in its collection are connected to the Holton Band of Maliseet Indians, Mi'kmaq Nation, the Passamaquoddy Tribe, and Penobscot Nation. The notices say the human remains were taken from a shell mound on Deer Isle sometime around 1950 and later donated to the museum. As for the 8 funeral-related objects, they're from sites in Hancock, Knox, and Penobscot counties. Archaeologist Warren Morehouse is believed to have taken them around 1915. Dwayne Thoma, who directs the Passamaquoddy Tribal Museum, says those items, which include a spearhead and gouges, hold real significance in burials.
These are real important ceremonies of our people. When people would pass on, a lot of their objects and stuff would be buried with them.
The return of these cultural artifacts is happening in part because of a law passed in 1990 called the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, which calls for museums to turn over human remains and funeral-related items connected to indigenous groups. But according to an investigation by ProPublica, that obligation has often been ignored.
Institutions have had exclusive authority over a lot of our ancestral remains.
A spokesperson from the Yale Peabody Museum told News Center Maine that the museum is committed to fulfilling its responsibilities under that law, adding, quote, "We are dedicated to realizing our goals regarding consultation and repatriation through meaningful relationships with our tribal partners."
Our ancestors are still speaking, and they want to rest, and they haven't been able to rest.
After a request for repatriation, the remains and objects could be returned to the Wabanaki Nations as soon as December 12th. I'm Donovan Lynch, News Center, Maine.